Well, welcome around the work stand, David. Good to see you again. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing well, thank you.
We've talked before how we will often ask our clients to reframe the way they think about things. And sometimes that meets a little resistance. But I think today you've come up with another blog that I don't know if it's out, but it will be by the time people hear this, that's got very relevant information in it because we are about, in most parts of the country, not where you live, you don't really have winter, but in most parts of the country, we're getting into winter. And we hear a lot from stores that they're worried about winter. It's slow. What do they do when it's slow, et cetera? And you've got some really good tips and a fun tagline. Don't just survive winter, win it. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I was on a podcast with the MBDA recently, and someone in the chat mentioned or asked, what do dealers do in the wintertime? And I kind of sparked something that not everyone knows what to do, right? There's a lot of dealers who get stuck, who just kind of try to survive the winter. They hunker down. They decrease hours, decrease staff. They're kind of just at loss and hoping for some sales to come through. So it really ignited this blog for me to post and kind of just let dealers know what to do and how to win the season, how to win the winter during this time where sales aren't great, but you have extra time to do the things you don't normally have the time to do. So
yeah, and so as all good podcasts and blog posts have, we have a list.
We have a list
with 7 things on it that are tips for winning winter rather than simply surviving it or hoping. Hope's not a strategy. Or as the comedian George Carlin used to say, hope sucks. So we don't want to rely on hope. What are these things we can do to do more than just endure the off season? What's the first one that we want to talk about?
Yeah, and in no particular order, and I might kind of go back and forth on some of these topics, but the first one I have is mastering your inventory. What I hear all the time is our inventory sucks. It's not good. It's not accurate. We hear from all shops, and it's I've been in retail for 20 years, and it has never changed. So now during the off season is the time to attack your inventory and do counts, and it's if you do the monthly counts or the weekly counts, those are great. However, I really do see value in closing up one day or 2 days and really doing a full store inventory. You'll uncover a lot more bugs, not literally, maybe so. But you'll uncover a lot more, errors or possibly even, things you didn't have in inventory that you should have in inventory by doing a full store inventory. So.
And the things that are on the shelf, the things that are in back stock, and also in the service department, where's everything you own and think you have as an asset? Tracking all that down and understanding that, right?
Yeah, right.
Outstanding. There's a clear return on investment for that when you come out the other side, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, your website is obviously more accurate. Your point of sale is more accurate. You can look at, aged inventory. You can, just find so much, again, just things that are in the weeds, that you'll uncover. And in that, process, you'll clean up your store as well. And just be able to kind of have better data all around.
Yeah. Outstanding. What's next?
Next thing is planning your assortment. I think on our last podcast or two, we talked about assortments and planning your assortments. During this time where it's slow, you can not necessarily bring in more products, but you can just have a better time for planning and looking at your arrangements, looking at your categories and say, hey, what else can we work on here? What else can we add or get rid of to have a better assortment? And again, it's not bringing it in now, but we can plan for it in the future in the spring. We know we're going to bring in this brand of lights and we have this many hooks to be on these lights, and just make it look nicer. So
yeah, I think that ties directly into doing the full inventory because one of the things you mentioned is what do we want to have and what don't we need to have? And so when you go through that aged inventory, let's make sure we don't just habitually keep ordering things because we're not paying attention. Get rid of some of those things. Move that money into something that you think can move more quickly during the season.
Yeah, and we didn't plan this, but awesome segue to the next one is markdowns. When we were finding those items during inventory that we don't need, or we're planning our assortment and we're saying, hey, we don't want this brand anymore in our store. Mark them down. Let's get them out, right? Move them out. People will find those deals in store and online, and they'll buy them from you. And it's yeah, we're not making good margin dollars, but we are creating cash flow to bring in other items that will sell. So.
Yeah, you're freeing up the cash and you're generating some traffic and some interest at a time of year where the whole reason we started this is because it's slow. So
Yeah,
that's a
right.
perfect time to be doing that.
The next one is point of sale management. I can almost guarantee if I go into your Lightspeed or Send or your point of sale system that I'm going to find tens, hundreds, if not 1,000 of items that are not categorized. And I was talking to a retailer recently. They have about 1,000 items not categorized. Actually, probably even more because a lot of things are in parent categories that shouldn't be. But my question to him is, hey, can you tell me how many helmets he sold this year? And the answer is he can't, right? He can't tell me because he has a bunch of helmets, a bunch of other items that are not categorized in the helmet category. So he can't pull up a report showing how many helmets he sold. It's not relevant to me, but it's relevant to his business. So he can plan accordingly again for the spring. We were looking at his displays and it's like, you have a lot of saddles. You have a big display of saddles. How many saddles do you sell this year? And, compared to everything else. And do you need that, huge display of saddles? But again, I can't see the data because their data is not great. So clean up your POS management, your POS database, and give it a little more TLC.
Yeah, clean it up now and put some processes in place to ensure a year from now there's not 100 more uncategorized items because your receiving processes aren't solid or whatever that is. Let's fix it too. So correct it now, get it back up to the best practice, but then let's fix it going forward with better practices.
Correct. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
The next one I have is updating your sales team. Right. You give some sales training. There's a ton of different sales philosophies or what would you call them? I guess
methodologies.
Methodologies. There's all countless ones out there, but just pick one that makes sense to your team. Pick one that makes sense to you that you can coach your team and facilitate that training involved. Even have your staff train you on products. Have them sell you products to make sure that all staff is aware of Canis, right? Of this new bell, of this new light, or whatever it may be. It's a great opportunity to really, train the whole staff on, for the upcoming season. So.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of product walkarounds. Nobody wants to do them, but when you sell to each other, if the sales team sells to each other, they learn a lot. And it's, doctors have this thing: learn it, do it, teach it. And I think the same thing can apply here. And the more tips you can give to people, the more you can put everybody on the sales floor into a process that they're all following, then the more interchangeable the staff is and the more consistently you're going to close sales, add-on sales, bring people into service, et cetera. So I think that's brilliant. And it's a good time of year to do it. It's hard to do. A lot of these things are difficult during the season because you're busy. So I think this is one more of those things that this is exactly the right time of year to do that.
Yeah. The next is pretty near and dear to our hearts on the marketing side, but build a marketing calendar. And we don't have to go into crazy specifics and details. As we all know, in the bike industry, things change. New products come around without us knowing. The day of. But just create a simple calendar. Plug in some key dates, some big, bike races, holidays, summertime, wintertime, whatever it may be, that you can just plug in and have ready. That way, when you're looking at your marketing, playbook for the year, you can say, all right, we need to get ready for summertime. We need to get ready for wintertime. You can put in your, store hours change on this date, so you can have a reminder to market or to have a newsletter about your store hours changing. Again, it could just be simple for now, and then as the year progresses, you add in things here and there to your calendar.
And another reason to get your point of sale data correct, because you want to be able to go back and look at previous years and when were sales up and down for different categories and know we need to promote this at this time of the year, et cetera. So that's, do it on the fly, but also think about, historical data is helpful. So if everything's correct, you can also use that to make a marketing calendar more accurate going forward.
Yeah. The last one is simple, but it's just clean up your store, right? Clean up your environment that you're working in. Pull things out, pull benches out from the walls, clean the sweep, mop, all that stuff. Get down and dirty into it, and really give your staff a clean environment where they should feel proud of, and get ready for the new year. So.
Your notes had one of my favorite sayings ever. If you got time to lean, you got time to clean.
Oh yeah, right.
And that's true. I think, back in the day, years and years and years ago, it was expected that maybe bike shops weren't sparkly clean. But now I think that we're part of a shopper's overall interest in buying things, and they're going into places like the Apple Store or Best Buy or a lot of these other specialty retailers they're really dialed, and you want to make sure that's there. We don't want to bring somebody in that might be a new cyclist and have them be turned off just because it's cobwebs in the corner or, dirty things here and there. So it's a good time to do that.
Like bike racks never get cleaned. They never get dusted. Pull the bikes off the rack, just give it a quick little dust, some spray, and have at it. So, but again, this is the time where we have the time. It's slower. We get it, right? But let's use this time to help us, for the upcoming season.
Yeah, it's valuable. I think It's good time spent. And then if you have questions about these sorts of things, remember David is doing a lot of work with stores in his role as the key accounts advisor. You're bringing on a lot of stores into these programs, and historically, we've been more about the digital, and you really are bridging that gap between the digital and what's going on in the store. So if you got questions about how do I do these things, how do I go back through and figure out what's uncategorized and get them categorized, and why does that really matter, and how do I do some sales training, and where do I find these resources, reach out to David, david.m@workstand.com. You can always email podcast@workstand.com. But let us know how we can help. It's not always about, we're all about websites and digital marketing, but that's not all we're into, because it's really about how do we help a store be successful from end to end, not just with the website. So let us know how we can help as usual. David, anything else before we go?
I think it's about, just, let me know if you have any questions. Add in the comments below, what you like to do during the winter time, any challenges you might have. But I think, it's for me, if you can read in the blog, one of the things that I try to do is with my kids is really try to use positive language. We're not, and with that, we're not in the off season. We're in the post season, if you will, right? And let's try to win the post season here. Really,
at some point it becomes the preseason.
Yeah. The preseason. Yeah. Either way, I was trying to think of something cute, but again, for my kids, it's not. I don't have to go. I don't have to go take my kids to baseball, right? I get to go, right? So you're just trying to change your mindset a little bit. Might make things a little bit more enjoyable, a little more, functional, I guess. I don't know. So
positive's better than negative. In fact, I get to take my dog for a walk, and he's staring at me ready to go. So until the next time, we'll see you around the work stand.
All right, take care. Thanks.